Right, well, back to the ANC nominations for the top 6 positions. Earlier on, the chairperson of the ANC Electoral Committee, Kgalema Motlanthe, made the announcement at the ANC headquarters in Johannesburg. The incumbent ANC President Cyril Ramaphosa and NEC member Dr Zweli Mkhize have been nominated for the position of President of the ANC at the upcoming 55th National Conference. Ramaphosa got a total tally of 2,037 and Mkhize 916. Let's get some analysis then. We're now joined via Zoom by political analyst Dr Fikile Vilakazi. Dr Vilakazi, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Good afternoon to you, Flo, and to the viewers at home. It's a pleasure to be here.
Let's start by looking at that final list, of course, that was announced by Kgalema Motlanthe, who will be vying for those top 6 positions. Are there any surprises on your end? I think we'd sort of heard some of these names being thrown around. I must say, it's also the exclusions that must be a little bit of a surprise there.
Flo, you know, I'm just so shocked, man, about how the African National Congress keeps ignoring the role of women candidates, right? So that's for me the number one shock, and I'm sure everybody's expecting me to talk about that because South Africans, particularly feminists and women's movement in the country, have been saying to the African National Congress, actually, what is the role of women in the party, right? Are women just really being relegated to positions of submission, or do they have a significant political role? We have 2 women in the list, Umama Unovula Mkonyane and Ufidi Potgieter. You know, and the rest of the positions from the presidency to the national chairperson, the treasurer general, and so on, are relegated to men. What does that tell us about the African National Congress? So for me, it's an absolute shock, and I would even say absolute disgust. After 110 years, Flo, we should see branches of the ANC thinking differently about the possibility of a feminist and a healing-led South Africa, especially if they really want the African National Congress to continue to be the leader of society. So for me, that's the number one shock.
Let's then keep talking about this issue of women. And I think of the woman, the person that we were expecting to be at the forefront yet again, Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma, failing to make this final cut this time around. No doubt she would at this point then have to piggyback on somebody else, as it seems to happen when it comes to the women candidates. Who do you think at this stage she would then be forced to sort of support going forward?
You mean, you know, the women candidates in the ANC? Oh,
yes.
My gosh. You know, it's such a sad reality because we've got not just Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma who raised her hand, but Minister Lindiwe Sisulu did as well. And what we are likely then going to see at the conference is that they would need to relegate their numbers to a particular candidate, you know, towards presidency. But we can see all the provinces are rallying towards President Cyril Ramaphosa, the incumbent. And I mean, Flo, you would have known that as we're coming out of the elective conferences of the different regions and the provinces, already the leadership of different provinces were bargaining, you know, amongst each other to say, give us the vote of the Secretary General. For example, KwaZulu-Natal has been bargaining with certain provinces to say, we are not going to compromise the position of the presidency, but we may vote with you for SG and TGs and so on. So there has been that work that has been happening. So the voters that would have voted for Dr. Nkosazana Dlamini-Zuma and Umama Lindiwe Sisulu are probably likely going to then go to Zweli Mkhize. And I'm saying that because Dr. Dlamini-Zuma no Umama Lindiwe Sisulu have been largely aligned with the radical economic transformation agenda, right? And of course, Dr. Zweli Mkhize seems to be enjoying a lot of support within that faction if factionalism plays itself at the upcoming conference. So chances are that if they do not make the 25% threshold at conference, those voters would probably then have to then compromise and give those votes to their candidate, ideologically speaking, which will be a candidate that will be speaking radical economic transformation agenda. So that is the kind of dance that I anticipate would happen, which is sad, you know, for the Women's League in a sense that the Women's League really then goes back to the back seat, within the African National Congress, above all the challenges that the league is happening. But it's a big question. It's a huge question for the ANC. What is the role of the Women's League within the organization?
Yeah. Another
But that's what I see coming to, sorry, Flo.
Yeah. So the other exclusion that I think we can't leave out and not talk about is that, of course, of the incumbent deputy president, absolutely nowhere on the list. And of course, he has surprised many in the past. Where is he now? And what can be said about the fact that Didi Mabuza is nowhere to be seen, on the list?
Yeah, my gosh, the absence of the deputy honorable president and the silences, have been shocking, not just now with the coming up of the branches list, but throughout, during the elective conferences, we've seen how silent he has been. But Flo, we also know that he has lost a lot of support within his province in Mpumalanga. There are issues there, just in terms of the role that he has been playing, the cloud also that he has been carrying politically. It had declined over time, and the scandals around his name as well have made things very, very difficult for him. When he was ill, I think he had to go to some hospital in Russia, really being absent as a deputy president, just even during his tenure. Besides, his role within the African National Congress, he has not thrown his weight towards convincing voters to say, I am capable of this position. So it's in a way not surprising, but I think it is shocking just to see a deputy president in the list of nominations really being made invisible in the manner that the current deputy president has been made invisible in this list. It's shocking.
Dr. Vilakazi, always a pleasure. Thank you very much for giving us your time. And no doubt we'll be touching base with you throughout up until that conference. Many thanks to you.